Sometimes people write me about a rifle, and the rifle is inscribed FLAIG'S, like this one, FLAIG'S. If you punch that in, you'll see, I think they were in Pennsylvania. Maybe they're still there. I think that was the last name of an individual gunsmith. Anyway, I was lucky enough to find this one. Invariably, they have really nice stocks, and everything is put together properly. We were just shooting this. It has a fantastic, I think they call it a Douglas Premium. I'm not sure if it's an air gauge barrel, whatever. Shoots extremely well, and it has a Redfield base and the old scope. And I took a chance that maybe it's still sighted in from years ago. And a lot of times that's the case. And that's what I was today too. Didn't have to do anything. So we'll shoot the steel plate. You know, every time we come up here, it's nice. And then because of elevation, now it's raining. But there's nothing we can do. And don't worry about the guns. I take good care of them. And I'm quite used to this weather. And this action was nitrided by Nitrera. And if you have a chance to have a Mauser nitrided, the action changes completely for the better. A lot slicker, a completely different feeling. It's like glass smooth, just wonderful. All right, well, I'll load up some Winchester 7mm Remington Magnum, 150 grain. It's an FN action, so the steel is good. We'll take a few shots before the downpour, but at least the mosquitoes are away, so I won't need a transfusion after all. All right, here we go. Okay, so more or less effortless to hit with. People ask about the scope. This is an old, very X3 Leopold, but you know, those Leopold scopes, they don't really get old, you know, unless you do something disastrous. It doesn't have a front sight, which is too bad because the Redfield base has a folding aperture, which is excellent. And the trigger, a little bit light for me. I had one shot where I wasn't really ready, but it went off anyway. Not a big deal, that happens often. Excellent, so yeah, there are collectors that look for these FLAIG'S out of Pennsylvania. I saw a 25-06, I think it was, just a masterpiece. And actually, I mean, this is a pretty good rifle. We were shooting a couple of other rifles, and this is notably elegant to shoot, very fine, and very good cartridge. This is the rifle that we were shooting in the mountains, and I have to say, what a great rifle to shoot. 7mm Remington Magnum, FLAIG'S from Pennsylvania, custom gun shop. We'll talk about it more. And I think what makes it so comfortable to shoot, well, partly the stock design. There's not much drop at comb. That's always a good thing. And the barrel is a medium heavy barrel. It's not a really heavy barrel, but it's quite long. And I noticed that when I was shooting it, and you'll know what I mean, you kind of get that, some shooters call it like the rifle has a good kind of hang to it. And I didn't touch anything on this one. This is the way I bought it. It came with this excellent Leopold scope and very good mount. Everything is, I suspect, the way FLAIG'S delivered it. Anyhow, the shooting went super well, very accurate rifle. And so I thought it deserves kind of a deeper dive in the studio. But anyway, I hope you enjoy that part of the video. I guess the main subject is FLAIG'S. That's spelled F-L-A-I-G ''S. It's a gun maker, Victor FLAIG. I kept coming across this name a few times with rifles I'd purchased. I didn't know him much about FLAIG'S. Anyway, this fellow Victor FLAIG started a gun shop, but it was kind of like a fantastic gun shop in Millvale, Pennsylvania. I Googled everything as you would and can't find out much, but you know, one can learn from the rifles. So unfortunately, I had some, not many, and I sold them for whatever reason. But this one, which I'm about to show you, is excellent. And I also came close to selling it a few times, but every time I tried to sell it, you know, I would go up in the mountains to make sure everything's working properly, and it just shot so well, and it handles perfectly, and I thought, no, I'm not going to sell this rifle, I'll keep this one. So yeah, we can look at the rifle, and it's they're almost all the ones that I've encountered based on the Mauser action, which most people, if you're a master gun maker, and Victor was, would choose as the basis for an action. Of course, there are lots of modern exceptions, and that's all good. But in the meantime, a couple other things came up which I thought you'd find interesting. So this is the FLAIG'S, and FLAIG'S rifles are usually beautifully inscribed. So this one, you know, I put some yellow highlighter in there so you could see it a little bit better. And I didn't take it out of the stock, but for whatever reasons, but for the show, I thought, well, I'll take it out. And so I don't know how well we can focus on that. It has a very good, I think, this Redfield base, and you can see here that the Redfield base has a built-in aperture. So you just pop this up. Of course, you have to remove the scope, and you'll wonder, what's the point of the rear sight if you don't have a front sight? And that's quite a valid point. So we'd have to do something about that front sight. Now, oh, and look, this is FLAIG'S work. Wonderfully fluted barrel, which is nothing really astounding these days, but it used to be quite a special feature. Not many people did it, or at least not that I was aware of. But to have a look at this, again, I'm not sure what we can read, but it's a Douglas barrel. And Douglas made different barrels, and sometimes Douglas Premium. And a fellow who seemed to know more about FLAIG'S said that they usually use the Premium. And you'll see the date, I think it's 1966. So I took this out the other day, and I mean, it's a minute of angle rifle if you do your part. Quite excellent. And here's something that you can, those of you that don't know, can learn from. So if you look at this action, this is a Fabrique Nationale action, Mauser 98, one of the relocated Mauser plants, I think. And you can see this sidewall of the action is quite straight and solid. So if you see this, it's a commercial action. Some people look for these, and then other people look for these. This is also Mauser 98, but it has this thumb cutout. So what's the thumb cutout for? That means this was originally a military rifle, and in order to insert the stripper clip, which you couldn't do now because there's a Picatinny rail and a scope in the way, but originally you would push down on a stripper clip and could reload very rapidly. And this rifle This action has a floor plate and everything else you would expect. But have a look at this. I found this funny. So I was making a video about this rifle and I took it out of the stock, and then I kind of looked at it. This is a really fine shooting rifle, and have a look at this. So the first thing I notice is this dovetail cutout, and then you'll wonder about me that I didn't notice this before, but that's the inscription. It's a Husqvarna barrel, and here's where the front sight would have been, but it's all on the bottom of this action. So I can tell you roughly what happened. Somebody spun out the old barrel. These barrels just spin out, but you have to have barrel vise and do a bunch of things properly. And this is a good barrel, high quality, excellent, no flaws inside. There you can see typical Husqvarna. This, I presume, would have been the rear sight in here. And so it's all here, but it's on the upside down side of this rifle. But people are practical. This could have been somebody working hard in their garage, or maybe a junior gunsmith. This front sight was sweated on, which is a type of soldering. So there's still some remnants there. And it all goes together in this FLAIG'S stock. And it's not badly inletted. So it's a great shooter. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. So the two things would be the thumb cutout that one can learn from and the upside down barrel. But it doesn't matter the orientation. Why did he do that? Because he was probably using go and no-go gauges, and his focus was on headspace. So wherever the barrel ends up, that's where it has to be in order for it to pass the go and no-go gauges for chambering. You could read about that. I wanted to show you that. So, and then getting back to the FLAIG'S, yeah, I mean, whatever he did with the barrels, I had a fellow with a bore scope look into it, and quite interesting. So nearly flawless. Normally there are some chatter marks, so he probably hand lapped the barrels, but maybe, again, more. But it's a beautifully done rifle in action. Commercial mouths are always good. And I guess they did something with the bolt handle. I mean, a lot of times I don't think about actions as much as I should, but you can see this kind of looks like a Mark 10 interarms, but it's not. It's not a Zastava, clearly marked FN. And then this lovely trigger. You might find that interesting. So that's about like maybe 3 pounds or so. And then this unique safety. You might know what this is, but I don't. And it's good. Does it lock the bolt? Yeah, it locks the bolt. Maybe there's a middle position. Let's try that. Bolt works. Maybe the safety's off. Yeah, safety's off. I might have passed. It felt like there were more than one click there. So that won't fire. No, it's bolt locked, trigger locked, or off safe. Did you see that? The rifle fired when I took the safety off. So that's, let's do that again. Safe, pull, and interesting. I'll have to look into that. Anyhow, that's there goes something. But we'll have to find out what. Oh, and beautifully inletted. The FLAIG'S rifles invariably have excellent inletting. I do believe there is some probably clear epoxy in here just to get things that perfect. I should have shown you the inletting on the other one. Not like that. And then unlike that other rifle, it has a floor plate that opens at the push of a button, which is quite a nice feature. And it's quite securely held, which it should be because you don't want it opening and dumping your rounds in the snow. So that's all good. Stock design is fine, no cheek piece. Pachmeyer recoil pad, quite comfortable to shoot. Caliber, 7mm Remington Magnum, so that gives you an idea of the date, roughly speaking. And when did FLAIG'S operate in Pennsylvania? From what I could find out, sort of from the 50s until the 90s, maybe a little later, but I don't think so. And yeah, just a fantastic rifle. So if you come across FLAIG'S, it's probably worth owning for the accuracy alone. And then there's the history component, and it's not a Griffith and Howe, and it's not a Holland and Holland, but I like it because this Victor must have known guns and how to accomplish accuracy, and went to the trouble of putting decent markings on his rifles. If there were records that you have access to, please let me know. I couldn't find anything. I could probably talk some more, but you're always more effective at finding out stuff than I am. But I wanted you to see this really fine rifle. And then last thing is, you know, we're always taking guns apart and making videos, and screws fall on the floor. So I wanted to show you, you probably have one of these, but maybe not. These are Mauser for any of them. So yeah, I just got this magnetic, I think they call it a magnetic sweeper. This has saved me so many times. That isn't to say I still am not missing parts. I am. Some springs can go who knows where. But under the workbench, you can see I've had it for many years. You just don't even look, and this little dandy picks up the parts for you, and it's quite strong. And you can usually hear it hitting the magnet, which is a nice sound when you've been sort of groping around in the dark. All right, well, a little bit of a scattered video. Oh, somebody wanted to know about this hammer. Apparently it showed up in another video. This is just from Brownell's. It's seen better days, but one side brass, the other side of polymer, and I use it a lot. Very handy to have. So no magic there. Not much else on the table to tell you about. That's the bolt from that other one. All good rifles, but yeah, keep an eye out for FLAIG'S, and if you find them or have one, send me a note. I'd love to hear from you. All right, well, thanks for being with me as usual, and as I try to write you, good health, good shooting, and take care until next time. All the best.